What's up? Real MVPs, Ricky Whitmer here. And you saw me do the intro if you're on Twitch, but then I was like, oh, shoot, I am muted, so you guys couldn't hear me. So here's my intro. Welcome into MVP Sports Live, the sports show here on MVP. We are starting another week. I am joined as I am not always joined with, but sometimes I am joined with my beautiful co-host, Jake Neverman.
How we doing?
Jake, how you doing on this great Monday, my guy?
If the Sixers win, I'll be doing great. The Yankees can't lose today. We're doing awesome.
You're confused on the lineup as well of the Sixers lineup and what they're throwing out today too.
I'm confused by a lot of things the Sixers do, but it's quite literally a game of just Joel Embiid versus Steph Curry, and that's about it.
Yeah. We're not talking NBA, though. That will be tomorrow. That will be Friday. This week, we got the full schedule. I'll get that to you in housekeeping. I almost said homecoming. In housekeeping, today we're talking NFL draft because we are this Thursday, upcoming Thursday, will be a week away from the NFL draft. Rumors are starting to speculate, people. We're starting to throw some things out. So Jake and I here are going to talk about some NFL topics today for the draft. Thursday, we'll be back with some more. Let's get the housekeeping out of the way. I'll do the schedule first. Today is NFL with Jake and I. Tomorrow, Soapy and Dave will be doing NBA. Then it's 2 days of Jake and I again, as we're going to talk MLB on Wednesday and NFL draft on Thursday, getting ready to that week away from the draft on Thursday. And then Friday, Dave and Soaps will be back for more NBA. It's Jake, like I told you, I would have loved to have you and Dave on a show, but I don't think you would have wanted to do 5 straight days or 4 straight days in a week.
No, I'm sorry. Sorry, people. I'm not that hardworking, honestly.
I mean, hey, Soaps and Dave got it. They can handle it. They've been getting to know each other. Soaps has been working on his hosting, and he's getting a lot better. Remember, if you're not in the Discord, it's the greatest community in the universe. Everyone talking together from the MVP family. That link, if you're on YouTube, is down below, or exclamation Discord into Twitch chat gets you that link. If you want to support us, patreon.com/MVPvids is how you can help support us and get rewarded for doing so. You can also throw us a sub on Twitch and get rewarded just the same as our bronze patron. What up, Eric? And then last but not least, we're on Twitch, twitch.tv/MVPvids every Monday through Friday. And we are also on YouTube at MVP Sports. You can like, follow, sub at all those locations to make sure you are in tap with everything going on at MVP. And Jake, we're talking all NFL draft today. I almost said NBA, but NFL draft today. Well, because my brain started thinking NBA draft, and we're not talking NBA draft. We're talking NFL draft. So my brain kind of like did the Soapy where the gears kind of locked. And I talked a little bit slower to make sure I got the right things out. Because, English is hard. I was like, I need to say the right thing. But the first thing we're taking a look at is America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones apparently knows what he is going to do. And yet again, this could be smoke screens. These could be not. But there's a lot going on with the Cowboys, as Mad Rogue, the NBFL draft. The NBFLA draft. They're combining both leagues. But from Heavy.com, they have an article that we're going to get into the main part of the article. But first I wanted to touch on, they said on Draft Insiders with Trey Wingo and Tony Pauline, the two co-hosts discussed the Cowboys' plans for the upcoming draft. And they dropped a few interesting nuggets. Pauline, who is a draft analyst for Pro Football Network, revealed what he knew about the Cowboys' plans to use the 10th overall pick this year. Apparently, the Cowboys are hoping to land the best offensive lineman available in Penei Sewell. The exact quote is, "From what I'm hearing right now, it looks like if Sewell falls into their laps, that's the player they're going to select. Otherwise, it'll be one of the cornerbacks, Patrick Surtain or J.C. Horn." Then he added this gem of, I'm also told the Cowboys will look hard to trade down. They are not against trading down. One of the teams I'm told is willing to trade up is the Chicago Bears, who want to trade up to get a quarterback. If the Cowboys can move down, pick up some additional draft picks, I'm told that they are more than open to doing it. I'm not told they're shopping the pick, but it depends on whether Sewell is there and what offers they're given. First thing I want to talk about is Penei Sewell.
Yeah.
There's no way he falls to them.
No.
There's zero chance he falls to them. So the first question I have to ask you, Jake, is are the Cowboys prepared to maybe trade up to get Sewell? Do they want him that hard, or do you think it's just, if he falls to us, we'll take him?
Yeah, the Cowboys are always a hard team to read because you think like, hey, they have these major needs year in and year out, and then Jerry Jones goes, "Fuck it, let's take another wide receiver." It's like it's what he does every year, but I think this year that it's from the article, at least it sounds like they finally know that their biggest needs are offensive tackle, inside defensive lineman, and corner. Those are the three that everybody's labeled them out as their primary needs. If Penei Sewell did fall to them, wow, what a great like you probably get a top 3 talented player in this draft at 10. Not going to happen. That doesn't mean there aren't other good options. Rashawn Slater and Christian Darrisaw are also going to be there. So if you stay at 10, you have to take a tackle. You can take one of them. If Caleb Farley is there, you can take him. There's a lot of options, and they're lucky that their needs are almost intact with what this draft is good with good offensive tackle depth and good early corners. So I think the Cowboys, I don't think they would be looking to trade up. I think it'd be dumb for them to look to trade up, obviously depending on price, but it's going to cost a lot in this draft with how much skill position talent there is in that top 10 to move up. So I don't think they'd move up. Moving back definitely is an option, but I don't think at 10 that they're stuck if Penei Sewell isn't there.
Yeah, for me, I've always mocked to them defense. I just think if they take the best defensive player off the board, like obviously corner is one of their primary needs, and they also need some inside line depth, some edge rushing help. I've always been the one that, like, to me, it was if Micah Parsons falls to them at the 10th overall pick. In mocks, I've been scooping him up left and right to the Cowboys because I look at it and I go, linebacker help. They've had Sean Lee to where people might say, who's Sean Lee? Because he's never on the damn field because of how many times he gets injured, to where the Sewell thing is like, oh, that's cute. But if you really want an offensive tackle, you should be looking at like Rashawn Slater because he might be there at 10 because many people have him going to the Chargers. The second thing then is at 10. If they're going defense, where do they go? Because like for me, corner would be the number one need. You could also have a Micah Parsons might be there to fall for them. Gregory Rousseau's kind of fallen off. It's Kwity Paye. Yeah, it's Kwity Paye that is now the like top edge rusher that people are mocking. Or you could go, let's see, inside presence. The inside presence isn't going until like Barmore or even like a let's see, I thought there was one more. Yeah, Barmore's the one that people have in the first round. If you're the Cowboys, I would just go BPA defense. I don't care who it is. I'm taking the best player available on the defense. Do you think there should be a specific position? Should they target cornerback over anything else, or should it be BPA on the defensive side?
You're saying if they stay at 10, right?
Yeah, if they're right there at 10 and they're picking at 10.
I think Caleb Farley, if he does fall, is a top 10 talent in this draft and by far the best corner in the draft, I think. So if he's there, I take him. If he's not there, I look at Rashawn Slater or Christian Darrisaw, and whichever one you could. It's a coin toss to me which one you think's better. I would stay away from Micah Parsons. I like to ask people the question: when you look at Micah Parsons and you're high on him, what does he do that's that elite? I don't like. He's probably going to be a good linebacker in the NFL. I just don't think he's ever going to be great. And when you're looking at a guy like Slater and Darrisaw, and even, they're not going to take Devonta Smith, but when you're in that talent range and you're looking at Caleb Farley and Jamar Chase and all those guys, you just think all the other guys have way higher ceilings than him, which maybe Micah Parsons is a safe pick because of his like freak athleticism. He has good IQ, but he's not great at anything. He's just good at a lot of things. So I think Caleb Farley has to be number one on their big board, and then you look at Darrisaw and Slater as 2-3.
Because like I'm looking at my last mock, it's going to change because obviously I did this last week. I actually did not have them go with Parsons. I thought I did. I had the Giants go with Parsons. I had the Cowboys go with Kwity Paye, which yet again for me, another thing too is a team that I asked you, do you want to talk about them or go with the Giants, who we're talking about a little bit later? It's the Broncos. The thing that confuses me about them, and I mentioned this on the last show that Dave and I did with the NFL, is it confuses me why everyone is against Drew Lock. Like, has Drew Lock done anything to be like, hey, we need a Justin Fields, we need a Trey Lance in Denver. Because, like, I don't get it. I think Drew Lock is a capable quarterback. Once they get their healthy defense back in Denver, it'll be a completely different story because they had both of their pass rushers, Chubb and Miller, were not there last year, and that's going to hurt if you're on the offensive side because your defense can't stop anything. I think Surtain has gone to the Broncos. Like, I think that's a prime pick for the Broncos to get a cornerback. So, like, for me, when they say, like, Horn or Surtain, I think that Surtain is already going to be gone to where it would be like a name you dropped where it's Farley, where I'll be honest, I'll ask you this because you brought up Caleb Farley because I was doing this with my mock draft. In mine, he fell all the way to 23.
Oof.
Is there a chance Caleb Farley falls that far? Because back in like the 1.0s, you're right, he was in the top 10. It was like Surtain and Farley were right there back to back.
Yeah, I still have Farley in the top 10. I mean, you never can tell how NFL teams grade players. People fall all the time. I see a very high end corner in his game, and I like him. You talk about Drew Lock too. I'm wildly low on Drew Lock. Okay. I don't like him either. But
is it just low potential then? Is it just you don't think he's going to be one of the greats? So
it's not one right now. It's not one of the greats. I think he just has a very low average ceiling in the NFL, and he's never going to be. I mean, you can't say never because there's always quarterbacks who can win if they have elite defenses. But if you're looking to build around somebody with that receiving core they have, they have a chance to be very good with what the young talent that they have on their team. And I don't think that Drew Lock is the guy to get them there, if that makes sense. Yeah. I think Caleb Farley, I mean, he fits basically any kind of scheme you want to play. If you want to play a press, you want to play a man, he can play zone to a degree. And he's just going to be a starting 1-2 corner walking into the league. I think it's very I think Farley is getting prospect fatigued where we've seen him so much. I think this happened to Justin Fields too. We've seen him so much and he's been rated so highly that now people are kind of like, meh, I'm just bored of looking at him, so I'm going to start ranking him lower. So that happens a lot with the draft process, I think. But I think what you see in the beginning is what you see in the end with a lot of draft big boards and stuff. Obviously, some people climb, but like people who climb, certain people are very high on, like Zach Wilson. I was Zach Wilson from the start, and now he's going to go number 2 most likely. So mostly what you hear in the beginning is what you hear in the end. And when it comes to NFL drafts, I think that Caleb Farley is a top 10 prospect.
So a couple things from Twitch chat I want to mention. Number one, Mad Rogue brings up, I mean, granted, I didn't watch the Broncos, but did Locke wow anyone like someone like Herbert, for example, did his rookie year? I wouldn't say, like, I agree. Locke isn't a, like, holy shit, he's amazing. But, like, to me, I feel like going into his 3rd year, maybe it's the Mitchell Trubisky syndrome to where it's like, you know what, let's give him a chance. He's not bad. Maybe because I live in Chicago that I was more in-depth and in the know about the Mitch drama going on. Maybe to me, like, I'm outside of that with Denver. Anyone from Denver in the comments section, let me know. If you guys kind of treat him like Chicago was kind of treating Mitch. But Kyler Murray MVP brings up a good one where he said, Slater won't make it past 9, book it. He said, I feel like Slater is undervalued by you guys hard. He tested way above Sewell. The thing with Slater to me, because like he's a guy that we haven't really touched, I feel like if he goes top 9, someone's trading up for him. Because I mean, actually, I take that back. The Panthers could take him at 8.
Yeah.
But is that the true need for the Panthers? Now, everything with Sam Darnold kind of changes everything to where before they got Sam Darnold, people were like, oh, they're going to go ahead and take a quarterback there at 8. Yeah. But now they have Sam Darnold. They don't need to do that. I think the Panther pick to me, Jake, is tradable. I think it's out. I think it's out the door, and that's me. No inside or anything. Just how I'm feeling, because the Panthers to me can be a team, get assets, trade back, because like I'm looking at their needs right now. It's like, yeah, they only have 2 primary needs, but you look at everything in their secondary needs of like, oh, they need a tight end, they need a linebacker, they need both outside and inside help on the offensive line, they need safety help. It's like, get more picks. get more people. Really, the only person I would want in the top 10 if I'm the Panthers is Kyle Pitts. And I think he's going to be gone because someone's either going to trade up to 4 for him or he's going to go to the Dolphins at 6.
Yeah, the Panthers are a weird one because, I mean, they're playing in probably one of the best divisions in football with the Bucs and the Saints, and then the Falcons with Matt Ryan being healthy again, could be good again. I touch on the Rashawn Slater part. I think I'm higher than you and Dave have been in the past in talking about him. I have him ranked as the top 10 talent, so I don't know if really saying I have him underrated because I think having him at 10, 11, somewhere around there on a big board is, I think, right around where he belongs. I know that he tested near Penei Sewell, but he wasn't one of the most dominant tackles in college football history like Penei Sewell was. Yeah. So I think on the court there's a gap on the court. On the field there's a gap there. Basketball in my mind. On the field there's a gap there. The Panthers are a coin flip. I think they just need talented players. They just need to keep getting talented players, and maybe the move is getting Sam Darnold another weapon or improving the offensive line in front of Sam Darnold, improving their defense. They got shredded last year. I'm not quite sure what direction the Panthers are going when they get Sam Darnold, if they're going towards a rebuild, like I said about Sam Darnold before, he went from being the worst quarterback in his division to once again being the worst quarterback in his division. So I'm not quite sure. I think they could take Rashawn Slater. I think that's definitely an option. The Panthers, I think, are a wild card, though, because I think they could just take BPA, they could take team lead, or they could trade.
Well, I'm going to bring this back into what the Cowboy story that we were talking about is Tony Pauline said that the Bears could be a team that trades up or tries to trade up with the Cowboys for a quarterback. And I know Mad Rogue earlier in Twitch chat said, also from Bears, Andy Dalton is our savior? Here's the thing I think and why I threw this out to Dave. Dave says no chance they trade up for a quarterback. I think the Bears do because as fans, we're looking at this. Ryan Pace shouldn't even be here. Ryan Pace, the least, should not be here. He should have been fired. I think him and Nagy are both on borrowed time. But they're not going to go into this draft being like, I have to do whatever I can to keep my job. They're going to go in thinking, how do I make this team better? I need to think like I'm going to still be in my position after this year. And there are 2 quarterbacks to me that are up for grabs after the top 5 because we all know Trevor Lawrence will be number 1. We all know Zach Wilson will be number 2. 1, 2. The Niners at 3, I don't know about you. I think Mac Jones is the pick there. I think that's who the Niners will go with. I know now, reflux. Do I agree with that? Is that like my top 3rd quarterback? No. I like Trey Lance a lot. But I think that the Niners will zero in on Mac Jones. Now, there are people out there that think, no, they're going to zero in on Justin Fields. I want to ask you that first just because I'm curious about your answer. Who's the pick at 3 then if Trevor and Zach are 1, 2? Who's the quarterback that goes to the Niners?
Who's going to be the quarterback that goes to the Niners? I think it ends up being Fields.
Okay.
The one that I would consider is Lance if you're going to sit him for a year behind Garoppolo. I know Garoppolo's not, but I think Lance is a very good quarterback. I think Trey Lance in Atlanta is probably the ideal fit for him because he can sit a year behind Matt Ryan.
Really?
I think I think because I think Matt Ryan's gone after next year, and I think sitting him behind Matt Ryan for a year in Atlanta would be great for him. I think Justin Fields is the pick at 3, though. I like I said earlier, I get the prospect fatigue. I always had Zach Wilson above him, so I'll stand by that. And I think 3 is where Justin Fields falls in a lot of quarterback rankings in this draft. I'm still questionable if Mac Jones is the first round talent. Honestly, I don't understand when a month ago when we were talking about the Saints taking him at the end of the first round, I was questionable about it. I didn't know if I wanted them to do it. And now we're talking about him going up to number 3. He was inaccurate at his pro day. He was inconsistent with his throws. And I love to see him play under a non-clean pocket. He played at Alabama. We know how Alabama quarterbacks look. I love to, though. I'm not going to use that stigma. It's what people have been saying. I don't like the narrative where it's going to be said next year with Hal because he's from North Carolina and Mitch Trubisky came from there.
Well, the thing, and I don't mean to like interrupt you, but the thing I will interject is like, for example, JD says, I think Jones is a smokescreen. If not, then the Niners or something else. I think the Niners, like, the thing is, I think that Shanahan doesn't want an athletic quarterback because one of the things that I had read like weeks ago is that he doesn't like athletic quarterbacks because it messes up his offensive, like what he wants to do offensively. Think of the quarterbacks that he has had success with. Matt Ryan, not an athletic quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo, not an athletic quarterback. Mac Jones fits that. Not an athletic quarterback. He's a guy that everyone talks about above the shoulders. I know Dave and I have mentioned that a lot. Even though Mac Jones, he's not third on my big board for quarterbacks. I would like Trey Lance over a Mac Jones. I feel like that's what the Niners want, though. A non-athletic quarterback that can run Shanahan's system to perfection. Now, the question is, how perfect could he run that system as a rookie, or will he have to sit under Garoppolo for a year?
I cannot fathom in my mind that they gave up all those picks to get Mac Jones. I know the non-athletic quarterback. I get all that.
What if they swerve us all and they take Kyle Pitts?
Yeah. I'm just saying that.
Take Kyle Pitts, add him with fucking George Kittle, and if Kittle gets injured, you're not fucked then?
I would be hesitant on the non-athletic quarterbacks that he's been good with because he choked in 2 Super Bowls to both of them. So
yeah.
I think Justin Fields is the by far better quarterback prospect. Trey Lance would be, I think you go with either of them. I wouldn't hate either of them. I think Justin Fields is just the better quarterback overall right now. And I think you take Justin Fields and you mold him into your system. I think Shanahan can make just about any quarterback look good in his system. But again, I refuse to think that they gave up all those picks to take Mac Jones when I think he's a borderline first-round prospect.
Yeah. Now the real question comes into, I was just curious to what you thought with the Niners. So, like for me, Justin Fields and Trey Lance are the 2 quarterbacks that I think will be the trade-up quarterbacks. If Fields is taken at 3, I don't know if anyone's trading up for Mac Jones. It's just Trey Lance then at that point. But then you look at it, like the Falcons, that's a whole conversation we can get into that we don't have time for a trade. Plus, Dave and I already talked about it. Bengals we're going to hit next. They have 2 needs that people are kind of zeroed in on what they
need a quarterback.
Their quarterback might be too injured to where they may need a quarterback.
Is he injury prone? Is he? Do you think Joe Burrow is an injury prone quarterback?
An offensive line
do you think JD's seething right now? Listen to me say that Joe Burrow is an injury prone quarterback.
The Dolphins, they'll probably go Kyle Pitts. Lions will probably go wide receiver. Starting with the Panthers starts the interesting talk. Panthers could trade back. They could also trade up. You've got the Broncos, who people are saying they could trade up. And then you have the Cowboys. Let's zero in on Cowboys-Bears.
Okay.
Do the Bears trade up, and do the Cowboys, what's a package the Cowboys may want from the Bears for the 10th overall pick? Keeping that in mind, in my last mock draft, when I had the Bears trade up to 8 with the Panthers, I had the Bears get only the 8th overall pick, and the Bears gave up the 20th overall pick, a 3rd round pick, which would be the 84th, and next year's 1st round pick.
I think that'd be a pretty similar pack. I was going to say, I think you give up this year's first, next year's first, and a 3rd, either this year or next year's. I don't know which one.
So, I mean, 8 to 10 is not that big of a jump.
No, but the Bears are moving up 10 spots, so you're going to have to pay a lot, and it especially depends who's left, because if Caleb Farley's sitting there, or obviously you said Darashar Slater, or people are going to want to trade up for him. Yeah. So I think you're still sitting in that situation, 2 firsts and a 3rd. I think that's pretty comparable.
Now, do you believe that the Bears are trading up for a quarterback? Because in my opinion, and yet again, I don't know if I've said this on a show yet, I think if the Bears trade up, Trey Lance should be the pick. He should be the one they zero in on. 2 reasons. One, back when I looked at Trey Lance's film, like way before, this was like the first film I ever dove in on because his season was over, and it was like right at the end of the regular season. I had written these 3 things down for team fits. For Lance, number 1, I said Washington. I said Lance might be the quarterback that the Scott Turner offense is missing. Could see Trey Lance fitting nicely in Washington. The Lions, that's kind of scratched off because they got Jared Goff now. I said would be able to sit under Stafford for a year to learn the speed of the NFL game. At the time, it was Bevel. I said Bevel's offense could be a nice fit for the young quarterback. That's all changed because of everything going on in Detroit with bringing Motor City Dan Campbell in. But who's the 3rd one? The third one, I said Bears. I said maybe Lance could be the quarterback Nagy needs for his offense to work. But then I said, will Matt Nagy still have a job? Who will replace him? Questions. Like, to me, I feel like Washington, Chicago, I even had outside mention Atlanta as good fits for Trey Lance. And this was like way before anyone was doing a 1.0 in the mocks.
Yeah, it's pretty simple for me. If the Bears trade up, they're trading up for one quarterback. They're trading up for a Ryan Pace kind of guy. It'd be Mac Jones.
God. So a white
they're
quarterback.
They're not. I mean, you shocked people because it's not shocking. They would take Mac Jones just because.
And Jones would be the only quarterback they scouted. The only one they looked at.
No, they are prime Kyle Trask. Wow, I can't think of his name right now.
Kyle
Another
Trask,
quarterback.
You got it.
No, there was somebody else too.
Kellen Mond.
No, not a kind of guy. He's not the.
Yeah.
Kellen Mond's not a Ryan Pace kind of guy.
Not Newman. There's not a lot of quarterbacks this year.
Sam Engler, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Those are Ryan Pace kind of guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think the Bears actually end up trading. I mean, they could trade up. I don't know if they trade up as far up as 10 unless Ryan Pace is literally like, I gotta save my job. I gotta just send it and send up all these picks and watch him take he'll trade up for this. We'll be like, they're taking Trey Lance and they take Devonta Smith. That would be the most Ryan Pace move.
Would they trade up for a wide receiver because of the Allen Robinson shit?
Well, who knows with the Bears, honestly. They should be going into a full rebuild and not trading picks away, but Pace are going to try to save their jobs and make the playoffs next year.
Not even save their jobs. This defense has got a clock. This defense has had a clock.
No, the clock is expired.
Well, yeah.
It's gone. It's gone. Like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to, but the Super Bowl window's gone. It is. They failed. They would have won a Super Bowl if they'd taken one of the other two quarterbacks, and they didn't. And maybe they dodged a bullet with Deshaun Watson, but they probably would have won a Super Bowl with him. So it is what it is.
If you're the Cowboys and you move back to 20, what's your play? Who are you taking at 20?
If I'm the Cowboys, I mean, if Surtain's there, obviously, I think that's a pretty easy pick.
If Farley falls that far.
If Farley falls that far, if J.C. Horn's there, I think that's a good pick. And then, I mean, Owusu-Koramoah, I know they don't even really have a huge linebacker need, but anybody who's in that range, Owusu-Koramoah should be the pick. I just think he's going to be a tremendous linebacker.
I think he's going to be I know that I'm looking at Tankathon. They have him at 17. I think he gets taken above 17.
He's going to be a steal. If he falls outside, he's obviously going to fall outside the top 10, but if he falls outside the top 15, he's a steal. Linebacker.
The pick that I always say, if he's there for the Patriots, he's my pick there all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And the thing I like about the Cowboys and them trading back, let's say to 20 with the Bears, but even trading back in general, you get after 15, there is an abundance of guys that fit their needs. I'm looking at Tankathon, and you might disagree with some of these, but hell, I'm just using it for a point. From 18 on, Farley fits a need. Jaden Phillips fits a need. Someone that Gil Brandt, one of the smartest NFL scouts in the game, named as his top 5 player today. Vera Tucker fits a need. Taven Jenkins fits a need. I always screw up this kid's name, but Aziz Ojulari from Georgia fits a need. You got Newsome the second. Even if you go down, Xavier Collins, Gregory Rousseau, there's more of a now yet again, if you stay at 10, you take, let's say, Patrick Surtain there. You could be okay, that's our guy. If J.C. Horn's your guy, doesn't care if you took him 5 picks higher than everyone else. You got your guy. But if neither of those guys are there or you're that confident in it, you can trade back and you've got more people to evaluate and get a guy that's going to help your team in the long run.
Yeah, I always go say, I talked about this in the last NBA time. We talked about the draft. It's BPA and it's whoever you think the BPA is. I'm mostly over team. I think it's a little bit different in basketball compared to football, but I still think it is BPA. Whoever you think the best player is, just take him and figure a way to fit him out later.
Yeah. The next team, and this might be a little bit of a shorter conversation, but the Bengals. That's the next team we're moving into because they have a choice at 5.
Yep.
Do they go, and I'm just going to put you on the clock right away. You're on the clock with the Bengals. Both are available. Do you go Penny Sewell or wide receiver? And if you go wide receiver, who are you going with?
I'm going Penei Sewell. I think he's just the if I were to go wide receiver, I think Jamar Chase is the easy pick. I think just the connection that him and Burrow have, I think that's probably who they end up going with.
Mm-hmm.
I just think Penei Sewell is a I hate to people overuse the word now, but I haven't used it for a tackle in a while. I think Tunsil might have been the last one, and it somewhat is right. I think that he's a generational tackle. Mm-hmm. I think he generally is. He was absolutely dominant at the age of 19 in college. Didn't play last year, so people have a little bit of fatigue from him, obviously. But he is just, I mean, he's everything you want in a tackle. He can play either side. He gets the job done. He run blocks, he pass blocks, he can lead block, he can do everything that you need a tackle to do. And when you're building a franchise around a quarterback like Joe Burrow, you need a franchise left tackle to protect the blind side. Michael Orr coming in strong with the blind side. That's what you need. He's sitting right there for you. You take him, you move on, you don't question it.
Now, I threw kind of a curveball here because there's one thing I left out. I'm going to be honest. Offensive tackle's my pick. Penei Sewell, if he's there at 5. The classic Ricky line, Jake. What am I doing with that slip? What am I doing?
What, you're jamming it.
I'm running it up to the podium. Running that slip up to the podium, even though they don't do that anymore. It's all electronic now. There's no way I'm going to be like Minnesota and get my pick missed. I have to go back to it. Minnesota. Like, if Sewell's there at 5, I already have it to where, like, I'm hovering over that button going, come on, let me push it. But the thing, like the question is, too, of, like, what 4? There's a ton of trade opportunities with the Falcons. I think if the Falcons stay, they're not drafting Penei Sewell. So if the pick doesn't get traded, Sewell will be there at 5. But, like, what's the percentage that someone trades up for a Penei Sewell? Like, that's the thing with me.
They could.
Like, someone could trade up for Sewell. Someone, like, whoever trades up for 4, I think there's 2 guys in a position that are being taken. Yeah. It's either going to be trading up for Kyle Pitts, it's either going to be trading up for Penei Sewell, or it's going to be trading up for a quarterback.
Yep, I think you're going to see the Bengals. They're just, if somebody trades up for Penei Sewell, they'll run in the slip for Jamar Chase. They are sitting there with 2 options. Yeah. I think Penei Sewell is the A option and Jamar Chase is the B option. Kyle Pitts a little bit random, might be the C option.
That was the one. Like, if Sewell's off the board,
then you consider Pitt.
Well, for the Bengals, I have then 3. Like, if I'm the Bengals, I have 3 options then if Sewell's off the board by 5. Jamar Chase, although I like Waddle more, I think Chase is a better fit for the Bengals off like wide receivers because he's different than Boyd, Higgins, and Tate. Because he'd be the main receiver with like size and can be the one that's like the big sized receiver that, hey, I'm going to go up and grab the ball. Where Jalen Waddle's more of like that route runner kind of speed guy. Like him and Tyler Boyd or him and Higgins might overlap a little bit where Chase wouldn't. But there's a part of me, too, that goes, if Sewell's off the board, if you think Pitts will be better than Chase, take Pitts.
I agree. I am in that camp, too. I think Pitts is better than Chase. I think Chase is actually very good and somewhat underrated. I think this draft class is...
But you like Waddle more.
I like Waddle. I think Waddle and Chase have both the chance to be amazing wide receivers in the league.
Like they're the main fantasy wideouts that we're taking this year.
Yeah, those are the 2 that if you can get in the middle of your draft, and you're depending on teams obviously, but you're running in that pick if you get in the middle of your fantasy draft. Yeah, I think I would probably. Again, I'd hedge my money that if Penei Sewell is gone, they would take Jamar Chase just because I think that's what Burrow's pushing for.
Yeah,
is them to take him. I think Penei Sewell, though, if he is there, like you said, it shouldn't even be a hesitation. I'm interested to see though because the Bengals. I mean, we say these 2 people, and then they could just run off and take somebody else that we completely didn't expect.
And that's what I was gonna say. Where let's say, and this is to me, Sewell's the only one that's like I'm running that pick up. If Sewell's off the board, I'm thinking because. Like I said, Kyle Pitts would be the BPA at 5. Jamar Chase would probably be the number 1 wide receiver on my board for the Bengals because of who they have. But if you look at the Bengals, the picks they have is they've got the 5th pick, then they got the 38th in the 2nd, the 69, nice pick in the 3rd, and then the 112th in the 4th. if I go ahead and look at wide receiver, like that's the thing. Okay, do we need to go with Chase or can we trade back? Because to me, I feel like I know there's a lot of people that are on the BPA train, especially in like the NBA, but even in the NFL where it's like, no matter who's there, just take BPA. It'll help you out.
Yeah.
But if you're sitting there going, man, we really could use an offensive tackle. Like we could really use one like a first round offensive tackle. Like if you look at it outside of because to me, I feel like there are 5 wide receivers that are definite first round picks in my mind.
Yeah.
Possibility of 7 could be taken. Like I think Chase Smith and Waddle all go. I think Bateman and Kadarius Toney are also safe in the first round. And then depending on what teams do, what they feel, Terrence Marshall Jr. from LSU and Elijah Moore could work their way up into the first round. But like, even if you go back, you've got guys like Rondell Moore. Like if they feel like they can get Rondell in the second, to me, he's a first round talent that's going to be drafted in the second. I loved Rondell Moore. If Marshall or Elijah Moore fall, you can maybe get them in the second. You've also got like in that 69th pick, you've got like maybe Tylan Wallace from Oklahoma State or Diamond Brown from UNC, to where it's like, okay, do we need Jamar Chase or the crack pipe thing I was going to bring up? Let's trade back. Let's trade a beta team. Like, I don't know. Here's the beta team like the Lions. Like, hey, we'll give you your choice. We'll give you your choice of Pitts or the wide receivers. Try to get them to trade up, or try to trade back. Yet again, the Panthers are the interesting spot because of if Sewell is gone. If I'm the Bengals, the only thing I'm trading back for is to make sure I can get Rashawn Slater. And if Sewell is gone before 8 and the Panthers don't move, will they take Rashawn Slater? That's my worry as a Bengals, if I'm putting myself in the front office. So, for me, I would try to work a trade with the Lions of hey, you get your pick. You might even, Kyle Pitts might have not been on your board because you think Miami's going to do it. We'll give you the option to get Kyle Pitts here, which Kyle Pitts, he would be a good addition to that Lions team.
Yeah, I think you're just going full tinfoil hat idea here.
I know. The tinfoil is on.
I think the talent at number 5 is too much to pass up on. And if Penei Sewell's gone, they're going to run in Jamar Chase. One of the two is going to be there, if not both. So I think they're just going to take one of the two. I don't think they look to trade down unless some massive offer comes through, but it probably won't because teams will know that most likely they aren't going to pick Kyle Pitts. So if they want to trade up for him, they can go to that 6th pick and try to get him there.
Last team we're looking at, Jake. It's another NFC. I almost said NL. I've been all over the...
It's an NFL team.
No, like NL, like baseball. I've been all over the place today. Baseball, basketball, football.
You had the first letter right. You're almost there.
But there have been some conflicting reports with the G-Men, Jake, where there are some sites, like, for example, Giants Wire of USA Today, are saying that the news that they're hearing, they say, however, Ralph Vanciano of SNY reports that the Giants are actually leaning towards an edge rusher over wide receiver. The exact quote, there's a good chance that when the Giants make their first pick April 29th in the 2021 NFL draft, that one of Alabama's 2 explosive wide receivers will still be on the board. There's even an outside chance that both of them will still be there at 11. But even if that happens, Giants might still take an edge rusher instead. Nothing is set in stone with 2 weeks until the draft in Cleveland, but multiple NFL sources told SNY they sensed that the Giants were leaning towards taking a pass rusher in the first round. Whether they really would pass on Smith and Waddle isn't completely clear, but one source said the Giants have done a lot of work on the top edge rushers who could go in the first round. You also have the outside report from the New York Post that says Giants will target offensive linemen early in the 2021 2021 draft. So my question to you, Jake, 11th pick rolls around.
Yeah.
If you're the Giants, are you going edge rusher, you going tackle, or are you going wide receiver?
This is tough, honestly. They also could look at linebacker or corner. I think they have a plentiful of needs.
Yeah.
I'm not wild on any of the edge rushers in this draft, honestly. Like some of them Quiddy could be all right. I don't think any of them are going to end up being elite. I'm probably looking. I would narrow it down to most likely I'm looking wide receiver and offensive tackle. If Darrisaw and if Slater's there, I'm running the pick in. I'm picking Rashawn Slater very quickly. If Darrisaw is there and Devonta Smith is there and Jalen Waddle's there, then you can start to have a debate among those three. Patrick Surtain probably moves a little bit in. Vera Tucker probably comes a little bit in. I think if Slater is there, he's the pick. If you go beyond that, I think it's an open book and you can kind of just take whoever you rate the highest. In my book, if I'm sitting there, probably going to end up still taking Darrisaw if Slater's gone. I think offensive tackle was a big need. I think Darrisaw sitting there or Slater, I think that just solves a need very quickly for them. And it's the simplest pick. I wouldn't hate if they took Devonta Smith. I just don't know if it makes them that much better of a team this upcoming year. And I think offensive tackle does.
Well, and here's the thing also that I kind of take a look at is when you look at the wide receivers, Sterling Shepard, who I believe was injured for a majority, if not some, of last year. They also got Kenny Golladay now. Like, they pulled Kenny Golladay away from the Detroit Lions. They've made that. They have John Ross also on the last year of his deal. To where I look at Devonta Smith and I go, what, you're going to put him in the slot?
Yeah.
You're going to put him in the slot with Sterling? Like, wouldn't be the worst. But then, to me, you're basically saying, John Ross, we don't give a shit about you anymore. And yet again, John Ross, very high. Oh my God, look at the 40 he ran. And then his time in Cincy kind of dropped him to where
he's booty cheeks.
I'm with you. Like, every time I've come to the Giants, I've looked defense. I've looked edge rusher, or like I said in my last one, Kwity Paye went to the Cowboys. I just took Micah Parsons because I was like, you know what? That's the BPA defense player there. And I think that Parsons wouldn't be bad on the Giants. The other thing that I kind of think of too is like if they're going to hone in on offensive tackle, it's either Slater or nobody at 10. Because Slater there, I feel like I've had Slater to the Chargers at 13. If he's at 10, he's the guy. Or are they also a team that if they're looking at a tackle, edge rusher, is there a team below them that's like, shit, I would love to get to Devonta Smith. And they then trade up with the Giants. Giants then get to move back into that no man's land of what I mentioned with the Cowboys, where it's basically offensive tackle and edge rushers galore.
Yeah, I think the same team we mentioned in the last one. If they're sitting there at 11, they don't know. Oh, when the Bears come marching, could they want one of the offensive tackles? Could they want to move up? I mean, could Miami want to move back up and get another? I mean, they're sitting there at 18. They have plentiful of picks. They could move back up if they wanted to for one of these guys. I mean, there's a lot of teams. I'm trying to figure out.
Do we see a Mitch Trubisky like situation to where I say the Giants, do they swindle the Eagles? Eagles could really use a wide receiver. If Devonta Smith is the last one of the top three that's there, do the Giants try to swindle them? To do that like one pick jump that the 49ers did when the Bears took Trubisky.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I get that the Eagles need a wide receiver, but I think there's plenty of wide receiver depth in this draft. I mean, you have the three at the top, but then you go into guys like Tony and Terrence Marshall and all these different options that I think are also good fits for the Eagles. I think the Dolphins are a team to watch if they want to move back up. It just depends. And I mean, the Dolphins also need a receiver pretty bad. So if they could add a guy like a Devonta Smith or a Jalen Waddle, that'd be huge. I mean, one of the number one needs for them is going to be, I mean, they need a running back, a tight end, a wide receiver, an edge rusher. The Dolphins need a lot. So they have these first 2 first-round picks, but they could move up with the plentiful picks they have to only move up 7 spots. Are they 18 or 11?
Who?
The Dolphins. They're
18.
18. So yeah, move
So,
up 7.
question: if the Dolphins were trading, what would be, if you're the Giants, what's the asking price that you're asking for? Because the Dolphins are one that I just thought of, that where it's like, shit, if they can get Kyle Pitts and then move up to get a Devonta Smith at 10, that's a near perfect first round for them, right?
Yeah. I mean, you trade the first and then probably a couple, like a second and a fourth or something like that. I don't know if it's. I mean, you could.
Because they've got the 49er first if they need to use it. And they also have a 49er first in 2023
it could be
they need to use it.
I would say it could be 2 firsts and a fifth, or like 2 firsts and a fourth or something like that.
I would do that in a heartbeat if I was the Dolphins.
Yeah, depending on who's available. I mean, if you think if Devonta Smith is still there and Jalen Waddle's still there, have your pick and trade up for him. The Dolphins have a chance to be very, very, very good next year. So if they can fill 2 of their giant needs in the first round, then if they could walk away with filling their tight end and their wide receiver gap, they feel pretty good about themselves going into next year. And you give Tua 2 more options.
And I mean, even at 18, like I see, if someone's going to trade up with the Giants, it's probably going to be. I would look at Dolphins football team and Bears, 18, 19, 20. And, like, if I'm the Giants, I'm not mad at that because it puts me in a range where, like I said, like, Jalen Phillips might be there, Taven Jenkins, Xavier Collins. Like, these are all, Vera Tucker. These are all needs that you're looking at. So, like, you can basically have your pick. The only one, if Waddle is there, he's the only one that I don't think I pass on. Like, for me, if Waddle's there, I agree with you. I really like Jalen Waddle to where I take him. I go, okay, I'm just going to make it work because I think he's going to be a really, 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 how much time do we have, Jake? For me to just say really over and over until you don't know what word I'm saying. He's the only one that I'd be like, maybe I don't trade back. But, like, if Devonta Smith is there, I'll explore the trade back. I'll shop that pick out a little bit and see who bites.
Yeah, I think the other thing that Eric mentions, and he's correct in the chat, is that 6. If Penei Sewell goes 5, they could take Jamar Chase pretty easily.
I think they're locked in on Pitts. I think if it's Pitts goes, then that changes their plans.
Could be true. I don't know. I'm just saying it's definitely an option at 6. They're probably between. I would think Pitts is the lock for 6 if I was the GM, but they could go wide receiver at 6. It's a good point.
Can I ask your advice on something?
Yeah.
I asked this to Dave. He said crack pipe theory. In the last mock that I wrote up, I had the Dolphins trading up from 18 to 4, giving up. So they would get the 4th overall pick. They'd give up the 18th, the 82nd, which is a first and a third, and then give up the San Francisco first for next year, along with the San Francisco third next year, and if they needed to, would be willing to give up the San Francisco first from 2023 to move up from 18 to 4 to then, in this situation, get Sewell and Pitts at 4 and 6.
Crack pipe.
Okay.
Major crack pipe. There's no way. They trade up. That is some.
Dave said 2K.
That is. I was gonna say Madden franchise. That is pretty close. Yeah. I don't think. I would love. It'd be amazing to see, but I don't think it gets done.
Okay. What were you gonna say before I cut you off?
It's a good question. I have no idea, but I honestly, the Dolphins are. I'll say this. The Dolphins are interesting because they have a lot of skill position needs, which a lot of teams don't have really in the first round. So getting a wide receiver and a tight end and a running back are key for them in this upcoming year. So they could go a lot of different ways, and they could have a very exciting and name-heavy draft that people know just because they're on the top of boards when it comes to skill positions.
Last thing I'm going to ask you, and this has nothing to do with what we planned today, but I want to get your opinion out there because you are a Saints fan. Number one, I want you to downplay all these rumors that Kyle Trask is going to be the next quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. And if you are Sean Payton and the boys right now, about a week and a half away from the draft, who's your pick at 28 if you're the Saints?
Can J.C. Horn fall to number 28? I really like J.C. Horn. Jameis Winston will be the starting quarterback. Whether or not they'll probably take a quarterback at some point in this draft. I don't know what round it'll be. I would expect they take one at some point. I'm not quite sure where they go. I mean, wide receiver is a giant need for them outside of Michael Thomas. Cornerback, though, is the number one need. So if a guy like a J.C. Horn does for some reason fall, then he's going to be on top there. If Asante Samuel Jr. is there, I mean, if Caleb Farley for some reason falls, one of the corners, I would assume, if one of the top 4 or 5 corners in this draft falls to that point, then that would most likely be the pick. I could see a Tony going in the first round. It's the problem is I think this and I say this, and then the Saints will take an offensive lineman. So it makes no sense to me, their draft, but it works. They're one of the best teams in drafting.
I'll give you this choice. I'll give you my, what was available on my big board, and you tell me what you would do. Top 3, you got Jason Owa, edge rusher from Penn State, Rashad Bateman, wide receiver, Minnesota, or Greg Newsome, the second cornerback on a Northwestern.
I'd probably take Bateman in that situation.
Okay.
I think Bateman's a very...
Is wide receiver that big of a need for the Saints?
Who's their second wide receiver, Ricky? They cut Emmanuel Sanders. They have Michael Thomas. I really do like Marquise Callaway. I think he's going to take a big step. And Deontay Harris is very good, but he can't stay healthy right now. So outside of those 3, there's no real option. The big thing is they need a deep threat so that you can open up the field for Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
The problem with last year is that Emmanuel Sanders was supposed to be that guy. He was hurt. Then obviously Michael Thomas was hurt. Now they have to cut Emmanuel Sanders.
Bateman is fast.
Bateman is very fast and it would be very fun to watch Jameis get to throw to Michael Thomas and Bateman. So
I mean, now that he's got those contacts, he can tell what the wide receiver and the cornerback are, and they're not just molded.
Yeah, I'm excited for this year, honestly. So the Saints have a couple of needs. They could touch either of them. I think it's a lot. I think it's a very heavy BPA.
Okay. That's going to do it for us today on Monday. Remember, Jake and I will be back Thursday, so I got a special message for you guys watching. Go to the comment section. For those of you on Twitch, you'll have to go after the video is up. But for those of you watching on YouTube and stuff, go to the comment section. If there are any specific things you want us to hit on Thursday, obviously if big news about the draft comes up, we're going to talk about that. But I do want to do a little part of Thursday kind of as like a rapid fan base question from the comments. So give us any questions you have. Anything you want to know coming into the draft, go ahead, leave those in the comment section. Like I said, those you on Twitch will just have to go after the videos up on MVP Sports YouTube channel and just leave your comment there. You can also tweet us at MVP_vids with any questions you want us to hit Thursday. Jake, it was a great show. I love talking to you. The only thing with me is it felt a little weird because we haven't done a show in a little bit.
I know.
So it was kind of like I was treading some water early on because I'm like, man, I'm not used to this. We haven't done this in a while because Jake hasn't been here. Tomorrow's NBA, Soapy and Dave will be here talking about all the greatest stuff going on in the NBA. Remember, join the Discord if you're not in it already. Link down below or exclamation Discord into Twitch chat gets you that link. You can also support us on Patreon, patreon.com/MVPvids. You can also support us on Twitch by subbing to us as well. We're on Twitch, twitch.tv/MVPvids. We're on YouTube at MVP Sports. Thank you all for watching, being as great as you always are. And as always, have a good day, everybody.